Welcome, everyone, to the 46th discussion of the smart world around us, organized by Smart-EDU Hub.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into a really interesting article. It's titled, How is Technology Changing the World Landscape? A View Over the European Continent.
It's by Cătălin, Vrabie and Andreea-Maria Tîrziu.
And our mission, really, is to unpack their analysis of the digital divide across 28 European countries. We want to get at why tech adoption sometimes succeeds and sometimes fails.
Right.
And just so you know, a link to this specific article is right there in the podcast description below.
So the core question the study asks is, how do these big contextual features, political, economic, social, how do they actually influence technology adoption?
With a special look at Romania, right?
Exactly. And their conclusion is pretty provocative. They basically find that success depends heavily on the political and economic situation, maybe even more so than purely social factors.
Okay, let's unpack that. The study kicks off with a map of the economic landscape, right? Figure 1.
Yes, and it shows this huge disparity in wealth. The spread in GDP per capita is just massive.
We're talking about Luxembourg at the top with over 100,000 PPP dollars.
All the way down to Bulgaria, which is about 6 times lower. Roughly 17,000.
And that's where it gets really interesting. They found a strong positive correlation between how long a country has been in the EU and its GDP.
It really sets the stage. It creates this clear divide, with most countries below that 30,000 PPP dollar mark being concentrated in Eastern Europe.
So you'd expect richer countries to be more connected. And while the data does show that, there's a decent correlation there.
Pretty strong one, yeah.
Sure.
But here's the first big twist. High-speed broadband connection. It's available almost all over Europe.
So it's not the pipes? The connection speed isn't the actual problem?
Not the main one, no. What's really fascinating is the massive disconnect between just using the internet and actually having the skills to use it well.
You mean digital competence?
Exactly. When they compared the number of internet users to those with basic digital skills, the correlation was, well, extremely weak, almost non-existent.
So just because someone is online, it doesn't mean they're prepared for proper ICT use.
Not at all. And the authors point to Romania as a perfect example of this. It has a reputation for some of the fastest internet in the world.
But it lags behind in both the percentage of people online and, more importantly, in those basic digital skills.
Right. So you have the access, but not necessarily the capability. And that brings us to the policy side of things.
I was going to ask about that. What's the so what for policymakers?
Well, there's a moderate link between education spending and internet use that suggests, that governments should be prioritizing ICT education.
But it's not that simple.
No, because ultimate success comes down to political will and resources. The study points out that ICT policies often fail because of these unbalanced approaches.
Like focusing on the project itself, say, buying a lot of hardware instead of the social goal, like actually developing skills.
Precisely. Or treating these projects as just sort of populist gestures.
So in some countries, like Romania, the officials might be too focused on just hitting EU project goals.
Meeting those implementation timelines, rather than tackling the fundamental social needs or making sure resources are actually going where they're needed most.
So what does this all mean for you? The article really maps out how political and economic context can dictate digital success, sometimes even overriding social factors.
And here's a final thought for you to explore. While this study looked at the divide between countries, the authors note that the divide within countries—
You mean urban versus rural?
Yes, that internal digital divide is also increasing rapidly. That suggests a whole new frontier for research.
A fascinating and crucial point. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. If you want to study the source material for yourself, the link to the article is in the description.
Definitely worth a read.
We invite you to like and subscribe to the Smart-EDU Hub channel to be the first to enjoy new podcasts. Stay smart with Smart-EDU Hub. Also, remember that a link to the book can be found in the podcast description below.